Do you have a gap in your shoulder? What do I mean by that? A gap or a valley. What I mean is that if you have a space between your humeral head and the posterior capsule of your shoulder joint, you have a gap, you have a valley, and you need to mind the gap. So what I want you to do is take your fingertips to the other shoulder and play around. You can see here on me in this space right here. So I have quite a gap on this side. On this side of my body, I've had neck pain, chronic tension headaches, wrist pain, and I have instability in this shoulder. But the more I practice minding my gap and closing the gap, and I retrain that and start to build up more stability in my shoulder joint, the less problems I have nearby, like the neck and the wrist. So how do you mind your gap? Play around with your shoulder set position, taking your humeral head and trying to position it to create a flush experience and no gaps and valleys. So play. It's tricky. For me, I've been doing this forever, trying to mind my gap, and still it's hard to find the set position. But when you do, you are turning on the right muscles, and the other muscles that aren't working to stabilize are going to help you more, give you more stability. Check the other side. So oftentimes people will have a larger gap on one shoulder and not the other. So for me, pretty good, pretty stable here. So what I do is I mind my gap, and then I practice creating movement like a reach forward without losing that stability. So a couple muscles to think about to mind your gap. Ooh, I got a good spot here. The muscles underneath your shoulder blade, your lats. Good. Now, do you always want to have this rigid type of movement? No, this is for practice. You're retraining some of the muscles to stabilize you. We're waking them back up, bringing them back online. We also want your shoulder to be super free and mobile in relation to the ribs and your spine. So we want both. We want movement and freedom, but we also want to have the joint be stabilized in tensions throughout the tendons, ligaments, and muscles and fascia to be healthy. So it's just things for you to consider, for you to learn about your body. If you have more questions about what I just described here, feel free to reach out to me, and I go over a little bit more of this specific training as it relates to neck and wrist and hand in my most recent class on Patreon, which is a 30-minute class focusing on the wrist and hand. And let me tell you, my folks that were in class with me after were like amazed. They were like, I can't believe how my hands feel. I can move them, I can feel them more. So if you're suffering with anything wrist and hand, the gap is important to consider, but feel free to reach out if you'd like more information, or head over to Patreon, and there's a 7-day free trial so you can try the class there too. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.